Okay, so we are in a very famous filming location called Melvreg in Marktschellenberg in Bavaria, Germany. And we're going to drive up this road to the hill where Julie Andrews filmed the opening scene to the 1965 classic The Sound of Music. Now, just to note, this is private land. You cannot just go up to the Sound of Music hill. It isn't open to the public, but I have got permission from the landowner, and he has very kindly allowed me onto the hill to do some filming. So this is our drive up to the Sound of Music hill from Melvreg in Marktschellenberg, Bavaria, Germany. And this mountain here, that is the Untersberg, and hopefully, if it isn't too cloudy, we'll be able to see that from the famous hill. So we're going to drive up to the Sound of Music hill now. That's seen in the view as well, that hill. That's the hill there. You wouldn't think it to look at it though, would you? It just looks like any ordinary hill. But it is, of course, the world famous Sound of Music hill. You can hear the grasshoppers as well. And yesterday, the 4th of June 2024, marked the 60th anniversary of the date that Julie Andrews went up there to film the twirl with the helicopter. So That was very special. So we're going to walk through the little bit of forest now, where the director, Robert Wise, and the choreographers, Marc, Breaux and Peggy Wood, were camouflaged during that opening shot. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? And it's so peaceful here as well. And this is also the route that Julie Andrews would have taken on the oxen cart when she went up the hill with all the camera equipment. So it's a little bit muddy in places and very wet because we've had a lot of rain these past few days, but the sun has come out and we will see the Untersberg in the distance and the legendary view we all know from the movie. There's the Untersberg there. And the Untersberg is what you can see when Julie Andrews is singing in the birch trees. Wow. Just get my breath back. So yeah, the birch trees would have been somewhere around here with the Untersberg in the background, and also the brook that they had, the horseshoe shaped brook, was somewhere around here as well, according to the previous landowner, who was a lovely lady called Annie Stocker. So we're very, very nearly in the spot where the famous twirl happened 60 years ago yesterday, and we've got all this long grass to walk through. This, by the way, is a ski lift owned by the man on the other side of the hill, so this isn't owned by the landowner, it's owned by the guy on the other side of the hill. But yeah, we're getting closer and closer now to that legendary shot the world knows. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, there we go. That is the most famous view in film history. Okay, so that is the Sound of Music hill. Well, this is the Sound of Music hill, and this is, of course, the view that we all know and love from the film. How legendary is that? So yeah, so Julie Andrews would have walked somewhere from around here, across here, across here, across here, and she twirled there, literally there. So that is where she made history. And there's other parts of the hill that I will point out, but yeah, the Untersberg is over there. This is the mountain. So when she sings the final part of the song, I go to the hills when my heart is lonely, the Untersberg is behind her. So this section of the Untersberg, from sort of there to there, that's what you can see in the background. So she would have sort of run up the hill to about here, and that was the view behind her. And then the moment when she hears the bells of Nonnberg Abbey and runs off the hill. I'm going to get to that spot now and show you. That's a sheep shed, by the way, though there are no sheep in residence at the moment. Look at that magnificent Untersberg. And there's photos, some black and white photos of Julie Andrews sheltering under the birch trees under the tarpaulin, because it was a set piece, so it wasn't a real set of birch trees, it was a set that they brought in. And yeah, so the birch trees would have been set up around here and a big tarpaulin covering them. And there's photos of Marc, Breaux and Peggy Wood and Julie Andrews in deck chairs around about here with this view in the background. So we're nearly at the spot now, if I can just sort of line it up, where she runs off the hill. So if you remember, she hears the bells of Nonnberg Abbey and she runs off in this direction here, because this gorgeous mountain with the forest and the field in between it was in the background. And it's also just beyond this mountain, that's Berchtesgaden, so that's where Eagle's Nest is. But yeah, this is the legendary shot here where she ran off the hill. And of course she runs in this direction, forgets that she's left her wimple, and with much frustration runs all the way back here, picks up the wimple with a lot of aggression and says "oh!" and runs right down the valley there. So yeah, so this is the legendary Sound of Music Hill, the world famous Sound of Music Hill that billions of people have watched and seen around the world. This is the hill 60 years later. It hasn't changed really, apart from the ski lift, which is here, which goes down into the valley, and the sheep hut, that's a recent addition. But apart from that, the hill hasn't changed at all. It's exactly as it was 60 years ago when Julie Andrews was here. Now the landowner tells me that he reckons the twirl happened somewhere around the sheep hut, but I don't think it did. I'm not too sure. I mean, it might have done, possibly. So we're right by this sheep hut now. God, that's warm. So it could have happened somewhere around here, possibly. And I did ask him, is there a marker? Because Julie Andrews had a mark that she had to hit, so that the director was happy that he'd got the spot. But I've no idea how she hit a mark through all this long grass. Yeah, the landowner reckons that it's somewhere around this sheep hut, so he may be correct, I don't know, but there's no marker or anything. He said there's no evidence of that. So, but he reckons it's somewhere around here, so he could maybe very well be right. But yeah, there we are, the legendary view 60 years later, the place where Julie Andrews made history 60 years ago. And it's still as beautiful, and I can indeed confirm to all the fans that the hills are indeed still alive, and long may they continue to be.